Hey folks, this is Kelani. It's finally here. Patch 815 is now live for both the North American and European realms, so we should all be able to enjoy the lag. New content, obviously, and this time around there is actually quite a bit you can do to keep yourself occupied in Azeroth, whether you're interested in the story, have a thing for professions, or you just want some new rewards to chase. Patch 8.1.5 should have something for you, so let's jump in. A new patch is guaranteed to include a new chapter of the war campaign, so keep an eye out for new quests from the typical chaps who handle the big story events for your faction over the next few weeks. As per usual, this stuff is going to be time gated to some extent, so keep checking back every week and you'll be able to stay up to date with the current goings on with the Alliance and the Horde as they try to rally themselves from their individual defeats. That's going to help tell the story as we work towards the Crucible of Storms and eventually take that next big step into patch 8.2. So if you care about the story, be sure to stay up to date with the new war campaign quests. Something else you should look into if you're interested in the story, or maybe just leveling up your Heart of Azeroth I guess, is the new quest with Magni. This has actually been streamlined since the PTR version, so all you have to do is follow the quest which you should automatically get whenever you next log in or whenever you next go to your faction hub in Battle for Azeroth. Magni wants to meet you just outside Uldir, so pop back down to the old raid to see what he wants. Hey up Maggers mate, what's going on? Haven't seen you in months, so have a chat with him and go through that little story quest. Sadly, it's only like 5 minutes long or so, but it gives you an idea of what's going to happen next and where we'll go from here. But it also gives you 10 item levels for your Heart of Azeroth amulet, so it's going to be worth doing no matter what. Another thing to look out for is the new Naga Invasion World quests. These can pop up at the shores of each zone, so if you see something along the lines of Naga attack, that's one of the new ones, unsurprisingly. These are kind of a super mini invasion because they're just one world quest right now, but this sort of ties into where the story is going from here. With both factions left seriously wounded after the Battle of Desert Allure, it seems like the Naga have chosen their time to strike quite well. These little world quests will hopefully build up into something larger as the Naga get more and more serious. For now, they're just stealing people and taking them into the deep blue. I guess we'll pay more attention when they steal our loot or something shiny. You can get some unique rewards from these world quests, like the Unstable Mana Pearl, which increases your versatility by 1000 while you're in Outdoors, Zandalar or Kulturas. That buff lasts for 2 hours too, so if you see this Naga world quest pop up and you intend to knock out quite a few world quests in this particular sitting, do this one first and you'll get that versatility buff for everything else. Not a bad deal. A new round of the Brawlers Guild is also open for business, and this time there's a little twist. Instead of just throwing you into an arena to fight random chaps with off-the-wall crazy abilities, this time we have a murder mystery to solve. By fighting random chaps with off-the-wall crazy abilities in the... So alright, it hasn't changed all too much. It's still going to be equal parts amazing and frustrating as it's always been, except we get a little bit of story thrown in for good measure this time. If nothing else, making your way through the various fights should take you a little while if any of them get a bit difficult towards the end of this whole thing. I know some of the fights in the Brawlers Guild took me a good chunk of time before I had them perfected in some of the older seasons, so here's to hoping we get some more hard nuts to crack. You'll need an invitation to get into the Brawlers Guild, but if you had one in the past, you can just walk in free of charge. If you haven't ever had an invitation, you can get them from the opposite faction's NPCs in Zandalar and Kulturas. So if you don't have one, just go kill stuff, I guess. You can also buy one for 100 gold from a new vendor called A Shady, who is just behind the blacksmithing hut in Orgrimmar, and for the Alliance he can apparently be found leaving the Brawlers Guild. He walks a little bit and then disappears. If you wait outside, he should appear before too long. Sadly, he is a bit too shady to stick around forever, so you might have to check back every now and then as he does tend to just disappear. Hop in the arena, kill a few cool bosses and solve that murder mystery. Now, one of the most anticipated features of this patch is the addition of the Zandalari trolls and the Kulturan human allied races. You can be a crazy dino druid or a cool wicker man thing if you really want to now, providing of course you have all of your requirements in place. You need Exalted with the Zandalari Empire for the Horde or the Proudmoore Admiralty for the Alliance, and then you also need to complete all of your faction zone story quests and finish the war campaign up to the Battle of Desert Allure. If you're ever unsure about whether you qualify or not, just head on over to your embassy and click on the Zandalari flag or the Kulturan flag. It will show you the requirements as well as which ones you have and which ones you don't. After all the requirements are met, you can do a quest to unlock the new allied races. So when you log in, you're actually going to have to do a quest. If you have all the requirements, you can't just go straight to creating them. In case you were wondering why you can't create them straight away, you need to do a quest to introduce you to these races. Then you can spend half an hour making the perfect dino troll or beefy human and start the leveling grind all over again. Speaking of leveling and grinds, you are now able to upgrade your heirlooms to work for the 110 to 120 leveling slog. They cost quite a bit of gold, or you can actually pick them up for Timewalking badges if that works better for you, but the main point here is that leveling from 110 to 120 just got a whole lot faster. Combine these heirlooms with the Warfront potions, experience gem, faction assault bonus, and anything else you can think of, and you can probably go from 110 to 120 in under 4 hours if you really put your mind to it. I'm going to be leveling up the rest of my alts fairly quickly thanks to the heirloom upgrades, and honestly I've been waiting for this for quite a while now. Ever since we first saw these upgrades on the PTR, I thought, you know what, I'm not even going to bother leveling any more alts right now because it's going to be so much faster when patch 815 rolls around. And here we are. So if you have nothing else to do, but you fancy playing some other characters at max level, now is the time to get them leveled up. I'll have a play around with various ways to level and see what ends up being the fastest. Dungeons, time walking, islands, quests, freehold boosts. There's so many ways to level right now, and heirlooms are going to make everything so much faster. If you're interested in professions at all, and I know Battle for Azeroth has made that a little difficult, but this might pique your interest if you like to collect cool stuff, you should check out the tools of the trade that were just introduced. They all do something different, and it's specific to your profession. Blacksmiths can repair their own gear, jewel crafters can reuse their gems over and over again, alchemists get a cool ore which can be transmuted into a variety of things. Most of them seem worth picking up at the very least, and the quests are all pretty fun if you like some story added into your professions. Personally, I would say that the alchemy, jewel crafting and enchanting tools are probably the best bang for your buck, but I'll be picking up every tool regardless. You can start the quests to obtain your tools by visiting your profession trainer when you have max skill in the profession in Battle for Azeroth, so you will need 150 in your profession before you can start these up, just to let you know. I hope professions get some more love in the future, and from what we've heard, they should get a little update in patch 8.2 as well, but for now, go out and hunt some tools of the trade. They might save you some gold in the long run, or even help you make some. I'm sure you've probably noticed by now, but maybe not. It depends on how many portals you usually take to Orgrimmar or Stormwind, but there's a new portal room for both factions which condenses most major portals into a single location. The only other portals you really need to run around for are the Cataclysm portals to Hyjal, Deep Home and the rest of them. Those are exactly where they used to be, but everything else has been crammed into these new portal rooms. They look pretty baller too, if I'm being honest. It's definitely a nice change from the drab, dreary interior of the Cleft of Shadow, so be sure to check them out. You should also take note of which portals are available as well and where you can easily get to from these new rooms, because these are pretty much the only portals left. You still have a few in Borealis and Zuldazar to Silithus and whatnot, but portals in Dalaran, the shrines, and almost everywhere else have actually been removed. So admire the new shiny portal room, but also take stock of which portals you just lost access to. You might have to use some of the more old-fashioned methods of getting around if you used to use one of the removed portals quite a lot. But hey, at least we get to use some more Zeppelins again, right? If you've been itching to siege a fortress in the heart of winter, because, who doesn't want to try and reenact some part of Game of Thrones right before the final season premieres, or maybe you feel like Warfronts just don't quite scratch the proper type of itch you have for massive outdoor PvP shenanigans, well, Wintergrasp is back. For this first week, it's actually marked as a brawl, so hop in, kill some alliance, take down the walls of Wintergrasp, and secure the Vault of Archivon for the Horde, and hopefully have some fun doing so. After the Brawl week is over, you will still be able to queue into Wintergrasp via the Epic Battlegrounds queue, so it's here to stay forever and ever. It's really interesting that they decided to bring this one back. Maybe they need to look at some of these older iterations of large-scale faction conflicts, to help with the problem of warfronts. We might see something much better in a future patch or expansion, who knows. And last but not least, I briefly mentioned Timewalking earlier too, which brings me to another new thing in patch 8.15. Right now we have the Wrath of the Lich King Timewalking event, which means we have a few more expansions to get through before we see this new Timewalking event, but the Warlords of Draenor expansion has been added into the Timewalking rotation. The first time we'll see it is May 28th, so mark your calendar for that one, but that means access to a whole bunch of our favourite, and of course most dreaded dungeons from the Draenor expansion, as well as some new goodies to go after. So there's quite a few things you can do to sink your teeth into right now. I feel like this expansion might be finally getting up to speed. Now I just need to maintain it and go even faster into patch 8.2. I'm really excited to progress the war campaign and see the story lead up to the Crucible of Storms. That whole plotline seems so awesome from a Shadow Priest point of view, but that's it for this video. Which feature are you most excited for in patch 8.15? The story moving forward, the professions update, or maybe even just some of the good old Wintergrasp nostalgia? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.